it is supposed to do. So what it was working previously without any issues, due to the automation that we have done or due to the accelerator that we have built, what we did it, we completely will go through all the steps that are available. So first step, as I said, is to quantify the problem. You have to quantify what you wanted to solve, and then you have to categorize the problem. You have to know how you have to diagnose that problem, whether a surgery is required or a tablet is enough for that problem to be resolved. So you have to categorize that problem, and then you have to identify different causes. Like causes, if I say there might be n number of reasons for that problem to happen. What are the different causes? You have to brainstorm it and then come up with the multiple causes for that problem, and then once you identify different causes, you have to prioritize what are the causes that you are trying to address. It is impossible to address all the causes. So, what we do is we use a scientific method to prioritize the causes that we are trying to address so that we completely resolve that particular problem and try to make some change in it. So, once this process is followed, you'll be able to identify the opportunities that you can work on. So, our mining process completes there, opportunity mining process completes there. So once that is done, you go for your implementation and then evaluation process. So this is what we would be covering. And once this entire process is done, we'll also think about areas where we can focus. Like once you have a problem or once you identify a problem, you'll be able to follow this process and then come up with an opportunity that you would like to work on. But where to look at, we'll also, after this, after completing this steps, we'll also look at few areas where you can look for the problems. So let's go by step by step and see what we can do in each of the steps. So quantify the problem. Beside what you, in order to quantify the problem, like I took an example, like last session that we had here, one person was talking about helmet problem. Like the problem that he has identified is the number of persons dying in road accidents, and the reason is not wearing a helmet. So let's try to, as an example, let's try to debug that problem and see how we can quantify that problem and look at in a numeric perspective of that particular problem. So I did little study about in Google identifying number of deaths that are being caused by for two wheelers who are not wearing helmets, and I found that around 44K in 2019, 43K in 2018, and 35K in 2017. And there is another observation is that in 2019, not only drivers but pillion drivers are also there. There is around 33% pillion drivers who are getting killed in a road accidents for among the people who are not wearing helmets. That observation brought in a point that even pillion driver is also important while you are trying to uh, like provide a solution for this persons who want to wear helmet. So in case if somebody is picking up this project of ensuring and providing a solution to see that everybody wears a helmet, thinking about pillion driver is also important, and that is visible in that second point, in that number of persons who are dying, who are not, pillion drivers who are dying. If you look at that metric, that is also quite evident there. And how do you quantify it? Now let's see how many people are driving vehicles. So we'll not be able to get that exact number. So we took an assumption. So we identified that like in a study it showed that 37 million vehicles are two wheelers are there in India. So if you take an assumption of at least 5% people ride a vehicle every day, 5% people ride an every day, it came around like 122 deaths based on the number of deaths that we have identified. 122 deaths are happening in a day out of 37 lakh trips that are happening. So it came around 0.0033%. So the numbers shows us whether it is the problem that you can work on. Of course, the number doesn't stop you from doing it. That number might be having a lot of opportunity inside it, but having an quantifiable problem will help you to understand whether the problem is something that you have to work on. So that is how like we try to quantify a problem depending upon the facts and all. What are the tools that we use are we do an extensive market study. Any person in ship with care, he has done an extensive market study and fact checks like what are the facts that are available. I think everything in Google you might not be able to rely on it. You have to get ideal like reliable sources data. So fact check needs to be done at the metrics that we are trying to address. And sampling technique is one more tool that we use in this process. Sampling technique is you might not be able to do an extensive study across the market. We might be able to just pick some sample and then study on it and then come up with this kind of a metrics. And we also have something called as expert opinion. There is some area where we don't have any kind of data available. In that case, you can talk to an expert and get their opinion. That is the least thing that you can do while data is not available. You can talk to an expert and get his opinion on this thing. So this is first step in quantifying the data. So once you have a problem, you have identified a problem, you will try to quantify it in terms of the percentage or in terms of number that you would like to uh, solve. Next is we wanted to categorize it. So I said, what is categorization? So this is the statistical method that we normally follow, Six Sigma or variance calculation. You put the data into, you calculate the variance in the data, and you plot it in a two-dimensional figure. You'll come up with this kind of a different types of uh, two different types of uh, problems. Like one is precision problem and one is accuracy problem. So if you look at the graph, you have high precision, high accuracy. So if it is high precision and high accuracy, there is no problem. Everything is running perfectly fine. You don't have to worry about it. But where you have to worry about it, low precision and low accuracy. So that is this kind of a problems. In case if there are low precision and low accuracy, you can those kind of opportunities can be worked on without any thought, because you have a lot of opportunities there. Anything can be fixed and you can improve the overall uh, quality of it, or overall performance of that process. Anything that can be done there. So in the helmet case study that we talked about, in case if you like just to in case if you pull the data and put it on a metric, and then in case if that helmet case study data comes like this, there you can see it's like both precision problem is there to certain data sets, and for few of them there are it is both not precise and not accurate too. So in case if there are certain problems which are precise but not accurate, it means that those data points there is some problem in the route, or there is some problem in the speed, that is speed at which the person is running. Those kind of things can be easily you can plot it in a figure. So once you quantify data, you see what data is talking, what data is showing you. Is it accuracy problem or the precision problem? And accordingly you proceed. So that is second point that needs to be taken care of. And the different tools that we use is we do an historic data, we collect the historic data sets, we do statistical analysis, we run Six Sigma analysis or variance, we plot it in a two-dimensional graph. All this scientific analysis we do, and all those tools will be used to identify a problem, whether it is precise or accurate. Next, once you categorize the problem, what we do is we try to identify the causes. So we use something called as fishbone analysis for it, or five-way analysis. What basically this does is, say road accidents is the problem. So we try to gather all the reasons why road accidents are happening. So this involves a lot of brainstorming session. So once road accident is a problem, what you do is you come up with a lot of reasons. Reason can be a driver's behavior, or corruption, or the infrastructure of the road, or the vehicle condition. All those reasons can be like you can have a brainstorming session and come up with these reasons. Once you come up the reasons, you can further get into further more analysis, like why infrastructure is not why infrastructure is poor, or why the vehicle condition is not bad, why the vehicle condition is bad. And lack of safety accessories is one of the reasons that we identified under vehicle, and that comes as an helmet cause. So the helmet cause that we picked up earlier is one of the reasons of multiple things. Like you have n number of reasons for that road accidents to happen, and helmet is one reason. So now, if you have n number of reasons for accidents to happen, and helmet is just one among the multiple reasons, now you have to within yourself, that is that the problem that I would like to fix. Helmet normal scenario, most of us know. Like the major thing why I don't wear an helmet is either I don't have an helmet, first thing, or I'm careless about, I'm not worried about police catching me. So these two are like maybe fundamentally most of us, the reasons why most of us doesn't wear, but they have been taken care. Right now, government is has started a rule that any two-wheeler has to come up with an helmet. He has to sell helmet also. And similarly, a lot of police checks are happening now. So it has been taken care in most of the metros. Again, this case, like doing this study, they have identified that most of the accidents are happening in metros and tier two cities. So there they have strengthened the process, and most of the things have been addressed. So so the point I would like to convey here is this study, trying to analyze the problem from multiple dimensions, would help us to identify a lot of causes and help us to identify whether the problem that we are trying to pick is right solution or not. So you'll be able to visualize if you fix this, whether you'll be able to control the entire process or not. So fixing one thing might not help us to control the entire cause that we are trying to address. So that is the point that one can infer from this. And now that we have identified a lot of causes, what can we do next? We will not be able to completely work on all the causes and then rectify them. So what we can do is there is one principle like 80-20 rule. It says that you put 20% of the effort, you get 80% of the result. So you identify top 20% of the causes, and which will help us to yield 80% of the results. So you identify all the reasons that you have, and you prioritize, give weightage for each of the reasons. You can get the details from the data, like what is causing how many accidents to happen, and you select the top 20% and try to fix those causes. That will help us. That will help you to get 80% result. So these four steps will help us to identify any of the opportunity, and opportunity in sense any of the opportunity that is most viable to work on. So any problem that you identify, just quantify the problem and then categorize it, whether it is an accuracy or a precision problem, and accordingly you can do your next steps in solving it. And once you do that, have a brainstorming session, come up with a lot of reasons and come up with a cause and effect relationships, and then identify the best possible reasons which is which is giving most of the impact, and follow the 80-20 rule to pick the top 20% of the causes and try to fix them. This will help you to land up in an opportunity which is most viable. Now, so what is the next step? Like once you have identified an opportunity, you can go ahead and implement it and then evaluate. You have a lot of tools for uh, implementing, where you can go for a design thinking approach, which is entirely a different time. Or the prototyping which we have done in our 2015, which we made a mistake. We tried we tried deploying one solution in just one data mart instead of all. So you can do in trial and error kind of a thing, and then a lot of approaches are there in implementation phase, depending upon the budget and timeline that is available. And once that is done, you have to evaluate whether your solution is meeting the objective or not. How we can do it? We can do it again. If you remember that the step one, you have quantified your problem. Try to re-quantify that problem. Is there any change in the number? Or is there any change in the percentage of accidents that are happening? If it is there, then you are in a right track. If it is not there, you have to revisit your causes and your approach, and then start designing entirely a new thing. So this is about opportunity mining and different steps in brief that you can follow. This is a lot of study that needs to happen, and there are a lot of scientific study, scientific tools that are available for each and everything. Most important thing is data, as data is very much important, and right data is very much important. And once you have the data, you will be able to mine it and then get insights from it, and then work on those insights. Now let's see what are the different areas. Like I said, 80-20 rule, right? So in industry or any of those industries that are around us, there are 20% of the areas where we have 80% of the problems. What are those areas? Let's see. So key focus areas that, this list covers most of the 80% of the problems in the industry. Any industry if you take, these are the key areas. This is based on the scientific study. It's not made by me. It's from lean methodology, which is across the globe. Everybody follows this, and these 8 are the main reasons where you can look for opportunities. One is waiting time. What is waiting time? So I'm waiting for a resource, or I'm waiting for a bus, or I'm waiting for a raw material to arrive, or I'm waiting for another process to complete so that my process would start. This is one pain area. Like you identify in any of your industries or any of your accelerators that you are trying to build, identify areas where there is a lot of waiting time. That is an opportunity for you. Overproduction, you are producing more than it is required. Raw material is wasted, human power is wasted, everything is wasted. Reworks, how much amount of rework is happening in your industry? So that needs to be addressed. That can be addressed. People movement, there is a lot of movement in your firm, or there is a lot of movement in the process that is going on. That can be addressed. Over processing, you are processing something which more time than what is required, so you are consuming more energy, you are consuming more mission resource. A lot of things are over consumed due to over processing. You don't have to uh, over process certain things more than what it is required. So certain areas you will be able to, you can identify and take some opportunity from there. Inventory. Inventory is the raw material consumption. Like how much inventory that you are consuming. Is it beyond certain limit? Is it beyond more than what you wanted, or more than what is ideally required? Those inventory related areas can be identified. So second thing is transportation. Transportation is one area wherein we have a lot of case studies on transportation, like a person traveling too long for getting things done, like between the industries itself. Like uh, you have an let's take an example of a port trust. You have unloading from here, and you have a warehouse somewhere else, very long, far away from this place. So that is something waste that is happening. That is something which you can optimize, and that is something which you can pick up as an opportunity. And unutilized talent is another area. So unutilized talent is like you have a lot of resources who are underutilizing it. So identify these areas where you have, where you can make some change and then improve overall profitability of your organization. And anything that we talk about, there are only 3 4 areas. I say 3 areas where you can look at. One is to improve your top line. Top line is revenue. So any organization, anything that you do, either it has to improve your top line or reduce your operational expenses. Reduce your operational expenses is what is your cost that needs to be reduced. So any idea that you are trying to pick up, it has to either improve the revenue or reduce the cost. And third thing is, obviously there are social reasons, compliance related reasons, social reasons. You are passionate about saving lives of people, irrespective of whether you make money or not. You have social reasons. You wanted to uh, pick up something, though it is not economically viable. It is giving you some satisfaction. You can go ahead and pick those things. So broadly, if you wanted to categorize into a few areas that you would like to look for opportunities, first go for thinking how I can improve the revenue, how I can reduce the operational cost, or what are the compliance issues or social related projects that I can take up. Once you do this, we have those 8 areas where you can look for opportunities. Once you identify some problem there, follow those 3 4 steps that we mentioned, like to quantify the problem, prioritize it, and then use the cause and effect, and then you use the 80/20 rule to prioritize the problem. So if you can do this, you will be able to end up with an opportunity which you can pick up and can build on it. And most probably 80/20 rule again. Once you follow this, 80%, 80%, you might end up being a successful, creating a successful venture and a profitable venture. Any questions? I'm done. Hmm? Or didn't receive. No, opportunity is okay. You wanted to ask.
Yeah, my question is like uh, we're working on the opportunity mining, and we know that the opportunity is already taken by somebody. So my question is that if we should go forward or we should drop it up there. Or something.
No, my answer to is from this slide is, see, when you're picking up an opportunity, it's like on the quantifiable measure that you're picking up. So you have quantified it, saying that this is what the quantifiable measure of the problem is. So your competitor, whoever is taken up, is he able to make a difference there? If he is making a sustainable, I mean, we can making in very good progress there, then it's no point in picking up the same problem, because he is already there and he is doing good. In case if he is not able to reduce that quantifiable metric, whatever it is, not able to do justice to the problem that you have identified, then yes, there is a possibility for you to chip in and then do that. Have you seen the 80-20 rule work? Yes, I've seen it. In 80-20 rule normally works in our daily lives also. Everywhere it works. So 20% of your key reasons, you just like in our daily life also, 20% of the quality time that you spend in the morning will impact the rest of the day. 20% planning helps in 80% of the execution that normally happens. 20% of it also works. It also works. No, 80% people doing 80%, 20% people doing 80% works also might be true in some scenarios. Right. Seriously, it's thank you everyone.